Hello, motivators. Timothy McCain here, and thank you for listening to another podcast. Listen, what we're going to talk about today is a topic that I really don't feel like it's talked about enough. But the reality is that each and everybody has dealt with this in some capacity. Or if you're not dealing with it, you're dealing it out, right? And so here's the reality. We hear this all the time, that hurt people hurt people. And a couple of days ago, I put on my Instagram, I couldn't sleep, couldn't fall asleep, got up, made a quick Instagram story. And I asked a simple question. I said, "Hey, how are you doing?" Right? It's a question that we ask everybody in at least here in America. I don't know what it's like in other countries, right? It's literally become this formal or informal thing. When you meet even a complete stranger, you ask, "Hey, how are you?" But the sad reality is that this question is not asked with concern. It's just asking and passing. And so just just same thing. If I say 1, 2, you're going to say 3. If I say A, B, you're going to say C, right? And so it's such a routine that if someone say, "How are you doing?" They'll say, "I'm good. I'm all right. I'm straight." But in reality, they may not be at all. They may be going through a hard time, a difficult time. They may just lost their job. They may just have a bad day. Maybe they got a bad report from the doctor. Maybe they're feeling ill. Maybe they're going through anxiety, depression, letdown, whatever it may be. But to the public's eye, it is taboo to even answer honestly that, "Hey, I'm not doing well." And then when someone hears that I'm not doing well, sometimes they don't even know how to handle that. Okay, well, bye. You know what I mean? But there's many people today hurting in silence, crying in silence, being in so much difficult in silence, right? And so, but here's the thing where I want to focus the video on today, and I'll address some of this other stuff about coping and all that stuff. But family, listen, parents, it is important, so important that you hear what I'm talking about. Listen, I have been a youth pastor for well over a decade. I've youth pastored for over a decade, and young adult pastor. I've been pastoring for a long, long, long time. And so I've had many, both parents, students alike, from children to adults, all alike in my office, having these seem like repeated conversations. And that is some struggle within homes. And I always celebrate, and I'm thankful that when parents recognize that, hey, something needs to change, they see a change in their student. But I always respect when the parent is not just simply dropping off their kid saying, "Hey, fix my kid. They're not listening to me. Something's wrong with me." But they approach it in a way that, "Hey, I just feel like we need help in our home. What can I do better? What do I need to change? I feel like I'm not communicating with my child in the way that they need." And this is important because I believe it's a healthy place to start, because it's not looking at the child, even though they're younger, believing that their adolescence is the sign that they're the problem. When in reality, if we're not careful parents, we can transpose, impose, and transfer our own pain upon our own children. I've realized this. I realize if there's a lack of control in your life, you will look for something to control. If you're at work, right, and you have no control over that, and your boss yells at you, things of that nature, right? And oftentimes, parents, if you're not careful, you'll look for things to control, and right? And obviously, we're called to raise our kids, but there's a difference between a mom and a dad and a dictator. The difference in being a place where they can feel like they can live rather than a place where they feel like they're enslaved. And then you'll be like, "Well, it doesn't matter how they feel. I'm working this hard to put food on the table. I'm working this hard to put clothes on the back. I'm working this hard to put lights in the house." So listen, that's your responsibility. That should not be their privilege. That's your responsibility as a parent, right? And so all the extras on the video games, all this other stuff, that's us all good and dandy, right? And that's some extra stuff. But the foundations and the responsibility of what it means to establish a home, that doesn't need an applause. That should be your responsibility as a mom and dad. And I dare to question that if you think feeding your child or taking care of your child is a privilege for them, then you need to reassess what it really means to be a mom and a dad, right? And so anyways, I realize this, if we feel like we don't have control, we will look for things and people to control. And sadly, our children are sometimes the first people to be under the whipping post of pain. Hurt people truly hurt people. Let me tell you what transference or transposing is. And there's some way smarter definitions in this, but each way I can explain. And I wrote about this in my book, Crowns Are Greater Than Trophies, so you can pick up at thisisyourchancebook.com or openingeyesministries.com. Crowns Are Greater Than Trophies. I write about this, and I believe it's super important. And so let's say you're at your job, right? Let's say you are you're not the head boss or CEO, or whatever it may be. Let's say you got yelled at your boss or something that maybe you done or something you didn't even do, right? Stressed you out, right? In the morning, the moment you got there, boom, something you didn't do. Maybe it was your coworker who didn't do their job and you're getting blamed for not, and now I have to pick up their slack. So you're upset, right? You're smashing your keyboards hard, right? You're sending nasty emails. You're getting short to people who just asking you how you're doing. I'm good. I'm straight. I'm all right. And they can tell that you're upset, and they want to really the concern. They ask you, saying, "What's really going on?" And you're short with them. Get out my face. I don't want to talk to you. I don't talk to nobody. I don't even like this job. Whatever it may be, right? So then, boom, you get on your lunch break, and you're slamming doors. You get in your car. You're driving super fast. You get into the fast food restaurant because you only got a 30-minute lunch break. And they get your order wrong. They added onions when you told them no onions. And so you have to get out the car and, oh man, because there's so much work. You get out the car, you walk into the cashier, and now you're copping an attitude as if they was the one who made the mistake, and you slam the food on the table and said, "Hey, you got the wrong order." Getting loud with them, right? They fix your order. They trying their best to smile, knowing that, hey, I'm not the one who did this. But at that moment, they're in that all you see is red, and they're at the crosshairs of your own stress. So again, what you're doing is transferring your stress upon them. You're transposing your stress upon them. You're looking at something to shoot. You're looking at something to put their pain on, even though they didn't do the mistake, right? So, anyways, you get your order. You get your order back. Now you got to scarf it down really fast. Get back to work, and you're looking at the clock. The moment the clock hit 3, 4, 5, whatever time you get off work, get out to work. Anyways, you get home. You tell your kid, make sure you take the chicken out. All right, and then boom, they forgot to take the chicken out. You walk at the door, and kids are loud, right? You got a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old. They're loud. They're walking around. They're yelling. They're making noise. But you're so stressed out, you want peace and quiet. And all they're doing is being a child. They're not doing anything wrong. They're just being a child. And the moment you get in the door, you're yelling. You're cussing. You're yelling loud. You're raising your voice. And boom, in the moment where they've been longing for mom and dad to arrive at the house, they don't have mom and dad. They don't have mother and father. They have the entity of stress for their day that has arrived. So the moment they've been longing for nurturing, the moment they've been longing to hug your neck, the moment they've been longing to spend time with you, the moment that child needed a mom, now they got a stressed out individual. You know what I'm saying? Or a dad, now they got someone who's too busy for their job. All right, so boom, now you're yelling at the kid. I told you to be quiet. Why is this everywhere? Why is this everywhere? Why are there toys everywhere? Right? And so boom, and now you're literally just set the tone for the whole entire rest of your day, and now yelling at your kids, putting the stress on your kids, right? And I understand, man, life is hard. Life is hard. But this is where I'm telling you, family, we have allowed things like this to become so normal that even while some of you are listening to this podcast, you're judging what I'm saying as if I'm saying something's wrong. Well, Timothy, you don't know about my day. You don't know about what I've done. You don't know all the stuff I've been through. Listen, I don't know about all the stuff you've been through. I don't know about all your detail. But let me tell you what, your child doesn't know either. And secondly, your child wasn't one who done it to you. So listen, if you don't tell your child, eat my pain and enjoy it. Because what you'll do, we will take everything that happened in our day, we'll put it in our grocery bag throughout the day. We'll go home, and on the pot of life, right? We will put an anxiety in the pot. We'll put depression in this pot. We'll put stress in the pot. We'll put being yelled at in the pot. We'll put blame in the pot. We'll put generational worries in the pot. We'll put the things that happened to us in our youth in the pot. We'll put all that stuff in the pot. We'll make it together, put it in the oven of our lives, and we'll serve it at the dinner table of our children. And they're eating it. And now we're saying, eat my pain and enjoy it. Wondering why, as they grow up and they're mature, they begin to understand how mom and dad may not have time for their own problems because they're too busy struggling with theirs. And again, I understand, like, man, Timothy, you don't, again, like I said, you may say, man, you don't understand what I'm going through. You don't understand my day. You don't understand how stressed out I am. You don't understand. But let me tell you about your children. Your children now, especially those who are middle school and high school, fam, they have stress too. And just because their stress doesn't look like your stress, just because it may be a problem that is not as a big deal to you, does not mean it's not a big deal to them. Let me tell you, if a problem is in their world, you should be in their world. If they're stressed out about this test, family, you should be there fighting for them. You should be encouraging them, right? If they got broke up with a relationship that is a middle school relationship that you thought, well, this is completely dumb. You are not going to marry the person in the first place. That may literally be in the back of your mind, but that child's heart is broken. And let me tell you, I have a YouTube video I'm going to put on the description of this. You need to make sure you read or watch, because your students, your child, your kid, sometimes they're more scared of your reaction than your correction. They sometimes when they do right from wrong, they're willing to accept your correction, but it's your reaction, family, that will keep them from ever telling you anything ever again. Well, they will tell a bottle and drink it away. They'll tell a blade and cut it away. They'll tell a pill and swallow it away. They'll tell a drug and puff it away. They'll tell a boyfriend or girlfriend and sex it away. They'll tell porn and click it away. They'll tell these other things and involve themselves in other things that they feel will actually listen or help them, then go to the very entities that is established in their home to aid them. But the problem is, if we squander the opportunity to create a place of communication with our children, why in the world would they feel that they could come to us, even though you deeply love them? You know what I'm saying? And so, man, I know it sounds like, man, Timothy, you making this podcast while you're yelling at me. You're telling me I'm the worst parent in the world. I'm not telling you that at all. But I'm telling you, family, there's something wrong in our culture. There's something wrong in our society. There's something wrong with our nation, the way that we're handling parenting regarding the transference of our stress and accepting it as normal. It is not normal to yell at our children. It's not normal, right? Yes, does it happen? Of course. Do we make mistakes? Of course. Is there such thing as a perfect parent? Absolutely not. But should not be a place of acceptance. Hey, eat my pain and enjoy it. You know what I mean? Here, I made you something. Hey, sit down, son. Sit at the dinner table, son. I made you the treasure of my day. Eat it and enjoy it. Yo, it doesn't work like that. But what happens is that we then, through all those years, are teaching our children how to handle conflict, how to handle problems. And then they repeat the cycle through their children. If they're not sick and tired of being sick and tired, to say, hey, enough, this is going to stop with me. You know what I'm saying? And so, yo, family, this is a real deal. Let me tell you why. I was a couple of years ago, and this was right before I wrote my book, Crowns Are Greater Than Trophies. I was given a bunch of suicide letters, a bunch of suicide letters, and it blew me away. And they all said something different. And these students were literally ready to kill themselves, take their life. And some of it was over situations and dynamics that we will read as adults. Like, really? This is what is bothering you so much? But like I said, if the problem is in their world, it should be in your world. But if we close off lines of communication, how will we ever know? And then I'm once again, as pastors, I'm visiting another funeral, hearing a parent said, I didn't know it was that bad. Right? But in reality, sometimes they try to tell you. So this is what the letters were saying. The letters were saying, if I kill myself, mom and dad wouldn't miss me. But take my life, they don't even know I was gone. They don't love me. They don't care about me. And you're like, man, how can they say I don't love them or care about them? And then, but here's the reality. The moment I said that, they don't love me, they don't care about me. Family, if mom and dad, if you started lining up a list about, well, I take care of them, I feed them, I put clothes on their back, they have a roof over their head. If those are the lists that you're naming out, that is a tall tale sign you may be missing everything I'm talking about. Because then these are responsibilities as parents, not privileges for your kids. Responsibilities. This is a right, whether to do right or wrong. They're your kids. These are things that should be happening, right? And so don't name those lists. But let me ask you, when was the last time you sat down with your child and y'all really had an honest conversation about what was going on? When's the last time your child said, hey, man, I'm going through this, but did you say, well, get over it? Have you said, well, I don't got time for this? Have you said, well, until you have bills, you don't have problems? You see what I'm saying? These are the words that has been hurting the lines of communication, been severing the lines of communication with your child, where it may not be a life crisis then, but when that line of communication is broken and a time for them to talk to you, but they'll close themselves off, family, there's no place where they'll let you in. And to demand that they will talk to you because you're their parent, when we have squandered the moments when there's not a big deal, is probably not realistic. Again, I'm trying to be honest with you because I want there to be some health in your home. Because family, There's too many students, too many children hurting in silence, wondering, does my mom and dad love me? Because this is what happens, right? Here, back into some scenarios. And this is what happens that, boom, you tell the children say, hey, I try to talk to mom and dad. They won't listen to me. And then sometimes, again, like I said, I understand it goes both ways. Sometimes a child doesn't know how to approach you. Sometimes they get upset. But then I'll tell you what's not what we don't allow our children. Sometimes we don't allow our children to feel. Really think about that. When your kid, when your son or your daughter, when they get upset, when they start crying, do we say wipe them tears? If they raise their voice at the same time or after a parent raises their voice, do we say don't yell at me? Or do we take the moment to say, hey, what is really going on? Because sometimes, remember, the child doesn't know how to process things. They don't know. They may not know how to communicate. But what we are so quick to rebuke than to understand. We are so quick to say, hey, be quiet. Stop talking. Go to your room. Than to understand why is this happening. And so we learn how to correct far before we learn to understand. But understanding this kid is trying to process something that is going on in their heart that they don't even know how to vocalize or don't know how to communicate. And we're not giving them a moment to understand, because then we're too busy being offended, wondering that, hey, I can't believe they're talking to me that way. Again, like I said, please don't get it twisted. There's a proper way and there's a level of respect that needs to happen. But that stuff needs to be taught. But until we don't teach, but we're not teaching our children how to process. We're not teaching our children how to speak. We're not teaching our children how to feel. We're teaching our children how to cope. We're teaching our children how to do what adults will do, right? We're teaching our children, well, it's not a big deal. And then wondering why they're not talking to us or speaking to us, right? And so, family, there's different type of personalities, man. And this podcast is already 16 minutes long, and if you already got this far, you continue listening. Thank you for listening. But listen, there are different type of personalities, and you can look this up. And I'll do another video, but this is important. Let me ask you this. Do you, parents, if you're watching this, or maybe students, this is maybe a good podcast you share with your parents and have a conversation later. Do you know the personality traits of your children? Do you know the love language of your child? You can have 5 children, all 5 of them will be completely different. And many times in my office, there'll be a group with large families, and the parent will tell me, I raised all of them the exact same way. Why is this one different? And sometimes then when they're silent, sometimes they're just an introvert. They think something's wrong with them. Then they treat them different. And then it causes deep pain. And an introvert who doesn't vocalize their problems but internalize it, they transpose it on things in private. But then the problems blow up in public. You know what I'm saying? There's different type of personalities, and you can look this up. There's a lot more fancy terms, but the way I like to explain it is the lion, beaver, golden retriever, otter. Lion, beaver, golden retriever, otter. I'm forgetting one. Anyways, a lion is a very demonstrative, overbearing leader, right? A lion is someone when they walk into a door, sometimes they won't ask you how you're doing in a minute. They'll say, "Hey, do you get this done yet?" All right, they're very task focused. They're go-getters, right? They're leaders in that, quote unquote, in that regard. You can be a leader, all the different type of personalities, but this is particularly when you think of this alpha male, you think of this lion. I'm gonna bite your head. I'm gonna do it. But the problem with the lions is that sometimes they can bite the head off everything around them for the sake of the goal. So they will walk on people to get places. That sometimes is a bad part of a lion, right? A lion sometimes will protect their pride before they'll protect their herd. Man, let me drop that mic right there. Anyways, and so a golden retriever is someone who's very loyal, right? But they're scared of conflict sometimes. And if you speak to a golden retriever in a time of bringing correction, they will put their 12-inch in their leg and they won't talk to you, right? They will remove themselves from the equation, right? They'll keep silent, right? So learning how to talk to golden retriever is important, right? A golden retriever is very loyal, but you got to make sure you talk to them right. So the problem and the conflict happens when you get a lion and a golden retriever together. A lion will simply ask a question, not think about how they are asking the question. The golden retriever will get offended, and there will be a disconnect in the communication, the relationship. A beaver is very analytical, very industrial. A beaver is like numbers, very, very calculated. Sometimes they're not very people. They're not a people person, right? And they keep to themselves. Beavers and lions get along because they're very task focused. They're very direct, right? So an otter is very happy-go-lucky. They're the life of the party. They make everybody smile. All right, they care about a bunch of people, but they exaggerate. Sometimes, yeah, they exaggerate, right? They procrastinate. So fulfilling tasks aren't sometimes on a deadline is not the top of their priority list at times, right? And so when you get a lion and an otter together, again, there's conflict, right? And so anyways, you can in your family you can have those dynamics. See it all the time. I see all the time where a very strong lion parent, mom and dad, having a golden retriever child, and doesn't know how to speak to them or correct them to keep the relationship whole, rather than the child keeps feel like they're getting attacked after attack, and then completely shut off the relationship. So anyways, family, these are some dynamics that, again, we got to give attention to. And I'll get another video about the 5 love languages and why it's important to understand that. But family, listen, man, what I'm talking about is so real. This may be one of the most realest, man, imperative podcasts that you can listen to, because it's important, because we have adopted mindsets as moms and dads. I'm a dad myself, parent myself, that we should cut away from our family. Children are allowed to feel. Children should be allowed to have opinions. Children should be allowed to ask a question. There's a difference between asking a question and questioning, right? And let's listen. Man, I'll just encourage you, really, really think about how you were raised, and ask yourself what was healthy and what needs to change. Because there's so many things as adopted. Let me tell you, adopted in our mindsets that should never have been. Let me tell you this. When we think of child abuse, we think of child abuse as someone who's choking out their child, right, and beating them to their bloody. But let me tell you, the moment you met different people have different opinions about whoopings and spankings and listen and whatnot. But let me tell you, if while you're whooping your child, if that whooping makes you feel better, that's child abuse. If it makes you feel better, that's child abuse. You are transferring your frustration via that belt to that child's behind. That is abuse. That's not teaching. That's not correction. That's abuse. So, like I said, there's a way. I understand the discipline and giving a spanking and all that other stuff. But again, if this is your avenue to allow yourself, let's say they break something of yours and you feel better, I need to hit something, and so this is my place of control, so let me beat that child. You are abusing your child. The gift that God has given you, you are abusing them. And you need to learn self-control. Again, this may be a hard pill to swallow, family. You may be like, well, Timothy, you don't understand what they've done. You don't understand what they did. Listen, I'm not talking about the context. I'm talking about you as an individual. We have responsibility. Moms and dads, we have responsibility. We should take responsibility of our actions. This podcast may be a hard pill to swallow, so you better get a big glass of water, because it's imperative you put this in your life. So stop making meals of transferring of our stress of our day into our children, saying, hey, eat my pain and enjoy it, because family, we're poisoning our blessings. So motivators, listen, I'm gonna put this on YouTube as well, because I want this to be in the comment section, and so I want you to talk about it. I want to open up this conversation, as well as you can listen to this all through all these different streams. But listen, it's so important that you get what I'm saying. So important, family. We can change the world by changing our world, and those who are sitting around your dinner table are your world. So let's make a difference. Let's look at the man and woman in the mirror. Let's look at the mom and dad in the mirror, and let's be better parents. Doesn't mean you're the worst parent, but I best believe I hope that we all can assess that we can be better parents. So there's so many things in my life I said, man, I want to do differently. So man, myself, I'm not asking you to do things I'm not trying to do myself. Every day when I look to my son Hezekiah, and when he does something, I ask myself this: is this right or wrong, or is this childish? Think about it. There's a way. Is it right or wrong or childish? Listen, you correct what's childish. You discipline what's wrong. You get that? You correct what is childish, because that's raising them up, but you discipline what's wrong. But sometimes if you don't understand the difference in that, then we are beating our children for being children, and we're beating the adolescence out of them, wondering why they're growing up with fear in mom and dad. But we discipline what's right and wrong to help mature them, but we correct them into mature and what is childish. Big difference. Huge difference. Maybe I'll do another video about that. Anyways, motivators, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. You can buy my book, Crowns, Greater Than Trophies, as well as my recent book called This Is Your Chance, all on the website, thisisyourchancebook.com. And listen, let's be better parents. Let's be all better together. Let's stop making the meals of our frustration to the day and say, eat my pain and enjoy it. Because they are looking for mom and dad, not the dictators we bring home on after work. All right, family? God bless you all. Peace.